The Middle East, long a theater of protracted conflicts and shifting alliances, is undergoing a transformation that could be described as the New Middle East. This isn't a reference to geographic changes, but rather the evolving alignments, balances, and tools of conflict. At the heart of this transformation lies the Iranian nuclear file, serving as a cornerstone in both regional and international struggles and potentially redefining the region's balance of power. More than a century after the Sykes-Picot Agreement, which carved up the remains of the Ottoman Empire, the region finds itself subject to attempts at a gentle reshuffling. This time, not only through military might but also through economy, energy, normalization, and shifts in geopolitical allegiances. The Arab-Israeli conflict is no longer the focal point. Instead, it's a clash of axes. The resistance axis, Iran, Syria, Hezbollah, Houthis, versus the moderation or normalization axis, the Gulf states, Jordan, Egypt, Israel. What characterizes this emerging Middle East is that the centers of gravity are no longer solely in Western hands. Rather, China and Russia have entered the fray with considerable economic and military weight, as the United States gradually retracts, leaving a vacuum that ambitious regional powers like Turkey and Iran are eager to fill. Iran's nuclear file is not just a military or civilian project. It is a strategic bargaining chip par excellence. Iran is keenly aware that reaching the nuclear threshold grants it political immunity and major negotiative status. With the Vienna negotiations stalled and the return to the nuclear deal, JCPOA, faltering, Tehran is steadily moving toward that threshold. However, the threat does not only lie in enriching uranium to 60% or building advanced centrifuges, but in the regional context that makes this program a potential spark for a large-scale war. Israel, which considers the Iranian nuclear project an existential threat, might not wait for the U.S. green light if it feels the zero hour is approaching. It has already begun using a gray operations strategy, covert operations, assassinations, and cyber attacks aimed at slowing the program without igniting open warfare. Following the Gaza War, 2023 to 2024, and the significant escalation in the region, Iran emerged with undisclosed strategic gains. It successfully demonstrated its ability to coordinate between various factions across different theaters: Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Yemen, and even the West Bank and Gaza, without direct confrontation. This central role bolsters its position in the nuclear dossier, as the West now realizes that Iran is no longer a mere party that can be contained, but a player that cannot be overlooked. The Gulf and normalization. Will the Iranian nuclear issue reshape loyalties? Some Gulf states, especially Saudi Arabia, have begun addressing the Iranian issue with a new pragmatism. The Saudi-Iranian agreement brokered by China, 2023, was not only a step to reduce tension, but a reflection of a deep understanding that any confrontation with Iran without clear American support would be costly and uncertain. Conversely, the possibility of Iran acquiring a nuclear bomb could drive the Gulf in two opposing directions, either pursuing parallel nuclear programs, as hinted by Saudi Crown Prince, or further engaging in the normalization umbrella with Israel as a means of collective deterrence. The most significant transformation in recent times is the entrance of China as a mediator in the Gulf, leveraging the vacuum left by the United States. Beijing views the Iranian nuclear issue not as a security crisis, but as an economic and strategic bargaining chip. China seeks stability that ensures the continued flow of energy, but it does not oppose a low-level tension that keeps Washington at bay. Meanwhile, Russia, which coordinates with Iran in Syria and faces international isolation due to its actions in Ukraine, may find Iran an indispensable ally. Future scenarios. From détente to explosion, the Iranian nuclear issue does not exist in a vacuum. There are three potential scenarios. Calculated relaxation, a return to the nuclear agreement in a new form, with mutual concessions and economic guarantees for Iran, in exchange for a partial freeze of its nuclear program. Clever escalation, Tehran continues its brinkmanship policy, staying below the threshold of developing a nuclear weapon, responding to any targeting through its allies. Full-scale explosion. A sudden Israeli strike on Iranian facilities, dragging the region into an open confrontation involving Hezbollah, Syria, and possibly the Gulf. Today, the Middle East stands at a perilous crossroads. The region is experiencing a critical transitional phase marked by significant geopolitical shifts. Iran's rising influence is altering traditional power dynamics, while Gulf nations reassess their positions amidst these changes. The increased involvement of China and a perceived reduction in American influence add layers of complexity to an already volatile landscape. At the heart of these developments lies the Iranian nuclear dossier, a pivotal element that could shape the new Middle East. This issue acts as a key, with the potential to either unlock doors to peaceful resolutions or serve as a catalyst for a conflagration that could consume the region. Iran's increasing assertiveness in the region poses challenges to its neighbors, many of whom are anxious about the possibility of Tehran obtaining nuclear capabilities. This fear has prompted a reevaluation of allegiances and strategies as nations assess the best path forward in a rapidly changing environment. China's entrance into the scene further complicates matters. Its economic investments and strategic interests in the region signify a shift in global power structures. This brings both opportunities and tensions to traditional alliances. The United States, once the dominant player in Middle Eastern affairs, now appears less engaged, its influence perceived as waning. This has left a gap that other regional and global powers are eager to fill, each with their own agendas and objectives. The choices facing Middle Eastern leaders are stark. They must decide how to handle the nuclear file carefully, balancing national interests with regional stability. The outcome will either forge a new era of cooperation and progress or lead to escalation and conflict. In this complex and evolving scenario, the Middle East breathes with difficulty, teetering on the edge of significant transformation. The decisions made in the coming months and years will be pivotal, setting the stage for either reconciliation or unrest in one of the world's most historically complex and strategically vital regions.